Hey Strat fans, what's going on? It's your boy Colonelstrat, the strategy extraordinaire here, and today I'm diving back into Gladius. Now, recently I did get some comments about my execution of Gladius. Just wanted to clear that up here. Now, I did use a cheat code to give me some more resources so that I could cut down production time on my videos. Not the production time in game, but more like me recording. See, what happens is it's a 4X game, so it takes a long time to make units, and I wanted to get all the units out to showcase for you guys when they were around the time you should have them. So I set the game to fast-paced, but even with that, sometimes it just takes a long time to get it with the playstyle that you do, and I don't really have that much time to record every week, and I made a decision to use that to try to beat the time crunch because I could just queue up a whole bunch of units and get them done as I was doing the guide. So going into the future, I'm going to refrain from that. They will mean the guides take a little longer to produce, unfortunately, but I do agree that it's more legit to do the guides without that, and I might have found a way to get around that anyway, because again, I don't want them to take forever. I want to get them to you, but I do want it to be as legit as possible. It was never my intention to make it seem unlegit. It was just kind of like a band-aid fix at the time. Yeah, I don't really agree with it either. That's why I used that. There wasn't a code to rush production, unfortunately, so it just might take a little bit longer, but just to clear that up, I wanted to let you guys know that going forward, this guide and the other ones will be legit. You know, I won't be using any codes at all. I'll just be doing raw gameplay, and pretty much every so often it might just take a little bit longer, maybe a couple more weeks to get one out. I might have to just push these back and fill it with something else because I don't really get a lot of time to sit down and play for long hours because I usually have a couple of jobs that I'm doing. Right now I'm in the middle of moving, but rest assured, going forward we'll be doing it this way, Strat fans, so you don't have to worry about that no more. But anyway, topic of this video is my good old buddies, the bugs of Warhammer 40k, the Tyranids. These murderous bugs look to devour everything in their path, and in Gladius they're actually pretty busted because their biomass mechanic pretty much molds food and ores together, so they don't have to worry about those two resources. They just have to worry about getting biomass, and biomass is very unique as it's pretty much given to you for free when you kill a unit as the Tyranids. Normal farming tiles can turn to biomass. There are biomass farms and stuff, so you can get it passively, but a big way is to just get it from killing things and eating things, because that's how the Tyranids get more biomass in the universe. So it's very universe centric. I love about that. And also they don't have any energy, they just use influence to upkeep and everything, so you really have to master your influence as the Tyranids. But they have some really unique mechanics going on in this game, and can't wait to show you guys. So if you like this guide and want to see more of Gladius, make sure to leave a like down below, comment what your favorite part of the Tyranids Gladius guide is. If you're a Tyranid fan or you hate the bugs with a burning passion for consuming the whole fandom, you'll let me know in the comments. Let's start with the Great Devourer and show you all the Tyranids are about.
In its isolation, Gladius Prime was an ideal research location. Here, the Adeptus Mechanicus Majus Biologus analyzed one of the greatest threats to the Eldarian, the Tyranids. The defeat of High Fleet Kraken at Fagundia showed that science could defeat the horrors. The colony, Guard Outpost, and Space Marine Chapter were unwitting insurance. Defenses, in case the Tyranids ever escaped. When the day came, they weren't enough. Nothing was enough.
Greatest threat for a reason. Up here, I'm fighting with things they can't control. Alright, so here we are in turn 1. Probably losing some biomass because of our units. So we gotta look for it, like, look, see right here, this Necron Tomb, the brush, and all that stuff gives you some biomass. You get a little bit from everywhere, so it's basically like your basic food resource and ores mixed into one. So we have very little stuff to look at, you know? This guy here, he's our city builder. He's a good city. Sure, because we can get some influence from here, because like I said, we're gonna need some influence. Reclaim units. Basically, you regain biomass when you reclaim them in here. That's really nifty when you have like older units. You can just pop them in here and reclaim them and get more biomass. So now we have positive biomass. That's pretty much the only thing you really have to worry about, biomass and influence, because your loyalty is not going to really suffer that much. Now we have the shrine, the skull altar. We're going to start acquiring some tiles for some more biomass and some other stuff. The Tyranids, they pretty much spread like a cancer. You know, they spread out and just devour everything in their path. Very Tyranid-like, if I do say so myself. Let's take our Termagants here, basic Tyranid infantry. They got flesh borers, pretty much basic attack, 1 army penetration, accuracy 50%, 22 hit points, decent. The morale system works a little different because of their hive mind. So like I think the further away they do get some morale debuffs, but morale's pretty much like non-existent for most Tyranids. They have 2 armor. That's actually decent armor. The Signpin's link, yes, here. So it cannot be shaken or broken. It's immune to fear, is not subject to instinctive behavior. So the some Tyranids can and do have morale, but these guys don't. Let's go explore. Very basic Tyranid unit. Fires little spores that dig in and read the wiki. I advise you to read the wiki about the Tyranid guns because they are fucking horrifying. Alright, we'll send this guy over here to explore over here. Alright, now let's get into the meat and potatoes of all my reviews, the research. So, Tier 1, we're going to have the Alpha Depository. Building this, it's pretty much the hero building. It produces heroes, generates biomass, and increases loyalty. Like I said, Tyranids, loyalty is not an issue because most of their buildings, the important ones, will increase loyalty. Gargoyles is a nice jump infantry unit to get around certain obstacles. You can get them pretty well, but they are pretty squishy, so be a little careful with that. Hormagaunts are a nice close combat infantry unit. Again, if you're having problems with close combat troops, Hormagaunts can help bridge the gap because your Termagaunts are not really good in melee, but the Hormagaunts are decent, as far as I've seen. Savage Presence reduces your influence cost of overriding instinctive behavior, so pretty much helps you with influence, but again, you're not going to have to worry about instinctive behavior until the later tiers when you get more unstable Tyranid forms. Synapse Archivores reduces the influence cost of Reclamation, which again, just helps you out with influence. In the Spider's Parlor, enemy units in Tyranid cities take damage each turn. Very good for defense, because Tyranid cities, they have decent defense though, I'd say. Just not so much. But yeah, they have decent defense. And like I said, the Tyranids start okay with the Termagants and Hormagaunts. They aren't that bad of units, but there are some other factions that start with stronger units, like the Space Marines. I'll either build the Depository to get some heroes out, because you want to get the Hive Tyrants and all that once you get up here. Either I'll get that, or I'll get the Hormagaunts, because they're a nice melee troop to help with your Termagants here. The Gargoyles, you can get them, but to be honest with you, they're just kind of too squishy. They're good for exploring the map. They're a good scout unit because they are pretty fast, but they are a bit too squishy for like mainline troops. So I usually will go with the Depository first and then get the Hormagaunts and then backtrack back to get Spider's Parlor because that's a pretty good ability. Passive damage, that applies to like all your city claim tiles. So that means if they're sitting there trying to attack your main city, they're going to take damage each turn. It does help a lot. Alright, so let's see who we have coming. Okay, so we got the Alpha Depository. I'll let you guys read all that. Let's see if we can destroy the gate with these Termagants real quick before we advance to the next tier. And there that goes. See, they're decent fighters. They're not great, but they're decent. See, they get picked off pretty easily because they aren't that armored and they don't have that much hit points. Plus, they don't do too hot against those guys. That's bound to happen. Alright, here we are at Tier 2. So Tier 2, we've unlocked up to the Anthropophome. It produces thropes and generates research. So the thropes are the higher class of Tyranid troop, like the Zoanthropes, the Neoanthropes, the Venom Thropes, all of that. They're pretty good. And I think those are the ones that get a little bit of unstableness. Lower tier Tyranids are really easy for the hive mind to control. They're not as unstable, so they don't have morale issues. But I think these other ones can have morale issues. The Brood Haunt is building that produces ground-based monstrosities, creatures, and also generates biomass. Everything pretty much generates biomass and loyalty. You don't have to worry about resources with the Tyranids. They're a pretty easy faction to do with that. Now the Brood Haunt does produce the Carif Effects and all the big hulking monstrosities that the Tyranids are known for, so that one's a really good building to get early on. Hibernation Marsupia just increases your population. Scavenger Adaptation reduces the influence upkeep of your resource buildings, so helps you deal with influence, because that's pretty much what you're going to be dealing with is influence issues. Tervagon is a nice synapse hero. It spawns armies of Termagants. So in practice, they're okay. They're decent. They can help you out in a pinch, but they're nothing compared to the bigger monstrosities of the Tyranids. But I think he does help with boosting those guys up and the middle tier Tyranid infantry, so it's good to keep them around. The Toxin Sacks increase damage of melee weapons against infantry and other monstrous creatures. So like, it just increases your poison damage, so it does more damage. It's not overtime damage, I don't think, but the poison damage is overtime, but this was just the base damage, not overtime damage. Finally, Tyranid warriors are a very versatile unit. I think you can pretty much tailor them to what you need. We'll see when we get into it, because I haven't played the Tyranids in a hot minute, but they are a very versatile unit. They can pretty much adapt to other situations. Very core unit for the Tyranid forces. So I would usually go with the Brood Haunt or the Paraform. It just depends if you want Thropes first or if you want like the bigger troops first. So I'll usually go for the Brood Haunt or this one depending on what I want, which is usually the Brood Haunt. And then Tyranid warriors so I can get some basic Tyranids. I will go back for the Termagant because he is a decent hero to have. But at this point, you'll probably start to get more of these guys out, like the Termagants and all that, to try to swarm enemies. So you'll want to try to get some more specialized troops onto the field. Now, I haven't really built anything. I'm just trying to accumulate more areas. I do have a couple synapse nodes going right here. That's plus 20% more influence. Influence and biomass is what you want to maintain. Biomass is going to go down with your population and with the amount of units you field. So you want to keep your biomass good. And you can increase it by constructing the reclamation pool. So it gives you 6 biomass per pool. So it's pretty good to get. The influence, just from tiles owned is what we're using now, but influence is used for a lot of other things. I don't think we use it right now, but override instinctive behavior here focuses the hive mind's attention to temporary override instinctive behavior. Instinctive behavior is like you lose control of them and they start running on instinct. We have a couple neophytes here that causes some issues for our Termagants, but that's why I have my Termagants coming down here to deal with them. Do a decent amount of damage, but not a whole lot. There they go. Go Termagants. Just go through a few turns to go. Come on, man. The more that you lose, your attack goes down with these guys too. There's the Brood Haunt. But now we should be able to overwhelm the neophytes here. That should be your goal as the Tyranids, is to overwhelm enemy units like that. We got them overwhelmed. See, the morale is going down, but if you click this, instinctive behavior, they'll slowly regen their morale and other stuff. Basically, they won't run off. Alright, here we are back. Tier 3 coming up. Now, I wanted to clarify with you guys. I was getting a little confused again because I had forgotten how the whole dominating behavior works. So basically, the override instinctive behavior takes away this debuff right here. The instinctive behavior, which over time, it'll eat away at your Tyranid's morale. So you have to pop this every so often to keep the morale from going down. I don't think it regenerates it, but it keeps it from going down. It will start to like naturally regen too. Like if I pop that, and for 3 turns, they don't have to worry about that at all. So it really helps keep their morale okay, especially when they're taking damage. He's got 3 morale because he took that much. They still only have 4. Let's take these guys out. Even though we're taking some damage from this great wireweed. Now we go on to tier 3. So we're able to unlock these because we haven't gotten the Thropes yet. But the Venom Thropes, they're a poisonous unit and they also have a protective Spore Cloud ability. So I believe that Spore Cloud ability does up the resistance of a unit. Makes it just harder for the enemy to hit them, so it reduces their accuracy on the unit. And it pretty much increases their evasion. And then poisonous attacks, we know what that does, damage over time. So they're a pretty decent Thrope unit to start with. The research gained from enemies die. So Malinthropes are good units to keep because they not only produce cities, but they're a decent leader unit too. So if you keep them around, they'll get more research gained if enemies die around them. Hive Tyrant is pretty much a good synapse hero to keep around, and it helps keep the morale from plummeting among the Tyranid ranks. And it also has really good psychic powers, pretty good to keep around. On the Flex Hooks, grants Tyranid warriors, Tyranid primes, and lictors an additional ranged weapon. I don't think the Flesh Hooks are that good, to be honest with you. The ranged weapon is not that impressive. But what is impressive is the Carif Effects. Monstrous creature with devastating close combat capabilities, but it doesn't have any range capabilities, so kind of a sitting duck when you're going up against races like the Tau. Anything with a lot of range, the Tyranids are going to suffer from. The Tyranids have a lot more melee focused units than ranged units, as you might tell. Birthing canals reduces the influence upkeep of production buildings, so again, more influence upkeep reduction. Always good and solid choices to get in text because influence is one of your big things with the Tyranids, as you have just seen. You have plenty of uses for it, plenty of things that you have to use it for, and plenty of things that have upkeep that cost it. So usually for this, I'll go for the Hive Tyrant to get a nice synapse hero on the field. Coherence node increases loyalty, but again, almost all the Tyranid buildings increase loyalty too. So loyalty isn't as big of a problem for the Tyranids as it was for, say, the Tau. you know, who have that stupid Utopia mechanic, you know? So I'll usually go for Carnifex and Hive Tyrant because those are really solid units to get. They are all around great units to get. Alright, and now we've made it up to tier 4, my friends, and now I've gotten some nice new toys for you to see. So here's the Hive Tyrant, one of my favorite starter hero lords for the Tyranids. Now, I say starter, but he's pretty powerful even out the gate. So he's got a whole bunch of abilities down here. He's got his Indescribable Horror, which reduces enemies' morale. He's got Aura of Fear, which again reduces their morale. Dominion, which increases loyalty, and Synapse Link. He's also got Shadow in the Warp, which again reduces morale for psychic units. Reveal enemy units each turn, reduces morale of adjacent enemy units each turn. Again, you know, and the Synapse creature, all of that. He's also got this ability, Psychic Scream. It's not that powerful, but it has a lot of penetration. Onslaught, which increases, you know, movement speed for him and the Tyranids around him. Plus, him and Tyranid warriors are Synapse units, so they give these guys, the non-Snap units, morale buffs. So, you know, they don't have to worry about the morale plummeting. So, let's see him in action. Oh, yeah. Just wipe the floor of those Vespids. And these are the Tyranid warriors. You gotta keep these guys near them because if they're not, they're going to take a lot of morale loss because of that. So you see the Synapse creatures are what you want to look for because it maintains the Hive link. So like the reason why these guys have a Synapse, because they're within the Hive here. So that's why. I've also been building the Hive up, producing a lot of stuff. I can also reclaim this unit if I want to. I'm going to be finishing up the biofarms over here to give us some more biomass. We can produce more units for you guys. And let's get into the research now. So tier 4 unlocks a lot of juicy stuff. The Garbiter Hives increase the armor penetration of short-range weapons, like the Termagants. So just more armor penetration means you're going to be able to deal with a lot of more armored targets better. Your shots and your damage is going to get through better. The Horospex is a monstrous creature that got a grasping tongue. It's really disgusting for a Tyranid unit, but it's still pretty powerful. Not as powerful as a Carnifex, I would say, in melee, but still decently powerful, and it has its uses. The Hive Guards is a very tough ranged infantry unit. They like have a shotgun type thing. They are short range, but they do a lot of decent damage, and they are pretty heavily armored too. So they're a decent frontline unit for the Tyranids. Megafauna Sac. This building constructs new buildings. It's pretty much the production building. Metaphoropes reduces the cost of founding new cities. Really useful for when you want to expand. Raveners is a fast beast unit. It's bred for close combat, so these are pretty much your dedicated scouts that will replace your gargoyles. Ripper Dispersion just increases your tile acquisition. It's the tile acquisition tech. All of these races in Gladius have the techs that give you resource buildings, or techs that increase your tile size for your cities, techs that give you building yard for it, something. So that's pretty much what that is. So I usually would go for the Hive Guards first, and then the Raveners if I want to explore more of the map. Just depends on your playstyle. If you want to explore more of the map, get around faster, these guys are really good for it. The Horospex, good if I want to boost up my Carnifex game and all that. This tech right here, good if you're facing Space Marines or any highly armored enemy, be really good to pick up too. So those 4 are usually what I will choose from. Alright, and now we've made it to tier 5. I've gotten some new units produced, like these Hive Guards here. Really cool looking unit, and they have a really good ranged attack with a decent amount of armor penetration and accuracy. Do pretty good against these things. Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's decent damage. Then we have Carnifex here. I want to show you his gun. Not as effective as his melee attack, but does help. We do have our Termagants here. That's another Carnifex. You can also give them Living Battering Ram, which increases his damage by 50%. I think it's only for, 1 turn, so you gotta make sure you time it correctly. They have that ability, so don't ever just try to waste it. Just try to make sure you get him here. I did finally get the Horospex. It is a thing of nightmares, but it does have Rapacious Hunger, which gives it another 50% attacks, which means it's going to be able to do more attacks per turn. That's what that means with more attacks. It doesn't mean more damage, it just means that they're going to be able to attack more. Like basically just, it gives you more attack actions. Helps it out a little bit, but anyway, let's get into our technologies for tier 5. So for tier 5, we have Aggressive Expansion, which increases the growth rate. Pretty good if you're struggling with growth, which is Tyranids, you're not going to really struggle that much unless you're really trying to build a lot of cities. Biovores, which are a nice artillery unit, create spore mines which explode within contact of the enemy. So Biovores are really, really powerful. I usually get them about this tier because Their artillery, very long range. It's one of the few long range units the Tyranids have, so landing the spore mines and all that is really good. So I really get them. Carnifex Bone Mace, more melee attack and damage, really good. Extra infantry armor, we know what that does. The Zoanthropes, they have a very devastating psionic attack ability. They're really good thropes to get, but again, very squishy. We do have the Ravener Death Spitter, which is a nice ranged weapon for the Raveners, but I didn't get them yet. So I usually go for the Biovores. The Carnifex Bone Mace can be good if you want to buff up your Carnifexes, but they're still pretty decent at this tier. Zoanthropes, another good one that I go for, or Aggressive Expansion if you're suffering from population. Biovores are usually like a must because of their range capability. They're really good. So I picked up some other technologies if you haven't noticed. I picked up the Ripper Dispersion, I picked up Flesh Hooks, I picked up the Throat Building, the Scavenger Adaptation, Spider's Parlor, the Hibernation, and Marsupia. I've picked up all of these extra techs as I'm going through because the Tyranids have a problem with overpopulation. Their population cap reaches very fast because they grow really quickly. They've reached that cap and now I have to increase my population centers or add some onto it. Plus biomass is not that big of a problem because any tile that you get out here gives you a little bit of biomass and you get the biomass farms. Plus if you consume enemy units, I think it does give you biomass. So the only thing I'm really worried about is influence, just because the units and the tiles, but I picked up a lot of things that also reduce that, like this influence upkeep on buildings. You should always plan to pick up birthing canals too eventually, and all the things that reduce your influence upkeep on things is going to be really good at keeping your influence above cap and keeping it really good, because that's really the one that you have to worry about. Biomass, I mean, you don't have to worry too much, you just have to expand and you can take care of your biomass. Let's see if we get biomass. I don't think we do. I don't think I'll reach him. I got caught in a trap. What are these Chaos Boys gonna do? Probably gonna take my unit out. That's okay. Okay, we lost biomass, but that's okay. Like I said, these gaunts are not that powerful, but they have their uses, and they're really good at swarming. So I'm gonna show you the Carnifex here. He does really good at melee. Oh, yeah, there we go. Let's see what we get. Oh, yeah. Let's see what these... Ooh, these guys buffed up really well. Oh, I forgot I had the Tyranid Prime. This guy's pretty powerful, pretty good at buffing. He's a real good buffer hero. This little monstrosity right here, this is more of a transport, but it does have some barbed stranglers here that can help do a little bit of damage. Not a whole lot, but it does help do a little bit. Yeah, I knew they were going to attack us first. They were going to get the Overwatch. Let's get him. There you go. I got one at least. I forgot I had these guys over here too. There we go. He's going to take a little damage, but not a whole lot because he's armored up as can be. And then boom, killed. Oh, we discovered the Adeptus Mechanicus. All right, we completed that mission too because we got our guys back. Sorry, Vanguards. Oh my lord, they shredded us. They shredded our infantry. The Mechanicus, with their anti-infantry weapons here, these guys, they do a lot of damage against infantry, especially bio-infantry, like the Tyranids, so you gotta be careful. We lost our whole unit there because that was just a bad matchup. Alright, now I've reached tier 6, so tier 6 opens up more buffs. The bioweapons in Biosis increases the armor penetration of melee weapons, which is pretty good for like Carnifexes, Hormagaunts, all your like melee troops, and plus also the ones that are hybrids, like the Warriors. They'll also get buffed from this too. Carnifex Bioplasma gives you more range power for the Carnifex. Pretty good for them, especially when you can't close the gap and you have to fire something. Exorine, it's a very monstrous unit that excels when it's stationary. It's pretty powerful. Gaunt Instincts reduces the biomass upkeep of your infantry, which like your basic gaunts, your warriors and all that, all your infantry units. Reducing the biomass upkeep, again, a no-brainer. The Tyranids have so many things that reduce upkeep for this stuff, especially because they only have so few resources they have to look at, only 3. It's pretty easy to keep on top of it. Great Mana Dispersion reduces the loyalty penalty from the amount of Tyranid cities. Pretty good. And then Paroxysm, we need Zoanthropes, gives them the ability to curse enemy units so they have increased accuracy. So it's really good to keep a Zoanthrope against accuracy-heavy factions like the Tau, like the Adeptus Mechanicus, anything that shoots things. Have a Zoanthrope there, and it'll take care of it. So for tier 6, I'll usually go with the Bioplasma for my Carnifexes, if you have a lot of Carnifexes. helps them out a lot when they get into a pinch. Bioweapon Symbiosis is pretty good as well for dealing with, especially since I just encountered the Mechanicum, I'm going to have to take that to be able to do some more armor-piercing damage to their units. Exocrine is a decent monster. Gaunt Instincts is really good for reducing the upkeep of your biomass, so I pretty much will go with the Bioplasma, Bioweapon Symbiosis, depending on what I'm going for. Always do the Bioplasma for Carnifexes because I usually roll out a lot of Carnifexes. Gaunt Instincts could also be a good contender between Symbiosis and Gaunt Instincts, depending on who you're fighting. So that's what I will go with. Now down here, I've found the Mechanicus down here. I want you to see what the Horospex does. That buffs his attack. I think it just does more attacks when he attacks. And so that's what it means. He will do more moves when he does his attack move. It doesn't mean he gets more attack moves. It means he's going to hit him more when he attacks. So it doesn't buff the damage, it just buffs how many times he strikes. Here is them again. Just love that. Of course, the Carnifex, I want to get him in to do some melee damage. I'm going to pump Living Battering Ram. Ooh, that's a good amount of damage to the city. And then here is this guy. I'm gonna pop this Tyranid, Scourge of the Brood. Do some more damage against this hero, Scutari Marshal. Go over here and do some more damage. There we go. And that will wipe them out. My Homagons. Or not. Okay. I thought that would wipe them out, but I guess not. Oh, no, it did. It did. They just glitched a little bit. That's okay. I can actually show you the tendrils that this thing does. I think. There you go. That's its ranged attack. Explore. Ooh. I don't know who owns that. I don't know who yellow is, but it looks like to be maybe, oh no, Necrons. Necrons are really a counter to Tyranids. That is not good. If I have both the Mechanicus and the Necrons, that is like double oof for the Tyranids right here. Alright, now we have gotten to tier 7. So, the Capillary Tower, it produces flying monstrous creatures, generous research, and increases your population limit and loyalty, so it's pretty much a must if you want to get your flying stuff, and you get a little bit of population boost, so that's a pretty good one to get for. Just unlocks your flying units, so it's like every other race's flying unit one. This signature larva grants your Hive Tyrants, Tervagons, and Tyranid Effects as a template weapon. Pretty much, it just gives them another weapon to do a decent amount of damage to structures and vehicles, so like heavily armored stuff. And then the extra monstrous creature armor just buffs up your creatures, of course. Lictors are your stealth infantry unit. Thresher Scythes grants your Exorines and Horexpexes an additional melee weapon, which pretty much is more for infantry. Trigon is really good. You can build brood hives to initiate subterranean assaults. So it's pretty much, you unlock the subterranean assaults button with the Trigon, so that's pretty good. But the subterranean assaults aren't as busted as they make them sound. You can burrow under the map and burrow somewhere else, but there is a range, so there's a cap to it. So it's not as overpowered as they make it seem. I usually go for the Capillary Tower so I can get my flying units. Lictors for a nice little stealth unit because they are pretty good at sniping single entity ones too. If you want to get the larva, you can. To be honest, I don't really see much difference when it's added to the Hive Tyrants and Tervagon and all those things. But those units are already pretty busted, so it's probably just hard for me to notice because they're already busted. And then the Trigon, pretty good for what it's doing, and it unlocks subterranean assaults, so that's pretty good. So I'll usually go for the Capillary Tower first, and then if you want to do the Trigon or the Lictor, that's pretty much up to you. That's usually what I rock though. So I do have these Bowars now, these massive guys here. Look at them. Oh my lord. Alright. See what they do? They do more damage versus infantry than they do against what you would think an artillery unit would do against. But if you do battering ram on the Carnifex, Carnifexes are your best friends against cities, especially when you get them upgraded. Like, I just destroyed this city really fast thanks to that Carnifex. This is more against infantry. It just looks so disgusting, man. Alright, we pretty much wiped the floor of these Mechanicus folks. See, against the cities, it doesn't do that much damage. We've been fighting the Necrons now. Not good for us Tyranids, but it is better because what the Carif Effects is, they're going to be your best friends against the Necrons because they do a lot of damage and they're tanks. So they take a little bit less damage. Look at their hit points. Their hit points are pretty good. And their armor, 8 armor is insane. So Carif Effects is your best friend against like heavily armored targets like Necron, Space Marines. The Mechanicus and the Tau can be pretty damaging to them. Like this Carif Effects took a lot of direct hits. The Hive Guards do well against those guys because they have a lot of range damage. But you want to get things that can fly up to them like Raveners. They'll do really well against them, so I might want to research them. Alrighty. Alright, I'm going to do tier 8 now. I am going to be coming back to unlock the Lictors and the Trigon as well after I get some tier 8 stuff. Getting close to one of the really big ones coming up. So Acid Blood grants your Tyranid monstrous creatures and primes the trait to damage all melee attackers. So that means anybody who attacks them, now they'll get acid damage when they attack, which pretty much is like damage over time. Efficient Digestion decreases the influence cost of consuming tiles, which I haven't shown you how to consume tiles yet, but if you consume tiles, you can get a whole lot of biomass just from out of those tiles, so it can help you in a pinch. Ocular Proliferation increases the armored penetration of your long-range weapons, which again, you don't have a lot of long-range weapons, but that means Bowars will be more effective, and your Hive Tyrant's long-range weapon, any ranged weapon will really help it. Bowars is probably what's going to get the biggest buff from this. And then Stinger Salvo grants your Hive Crones an additional ranged weapon. Now I haven't shown Hive Crones yet because I think they're a flying unit, but it gives them another ranged weapon. Trigon Toxic Spike is for the Trigons. It gives them a better melee weapon. So pretty much if you unlock more weapons, you get more damage for certain targets, and it basically just helps make the unit more versatile. Like with the Tyranid Warrior, as you can upgrade them with different things, they're very versatile and they can be good against pretty much anything, like armored targets, infantry, anything. So I usually go for Acid Blood just for a little defense, and then I'll either get the Digestion one for reducing influence cost, especially if you're consuming tiles a lot, which I haven't shown you yet, but just bear with me. Or I can get the Proliferation one for my Biovores if I want to go Biovore heavy. Stinger Salvo, don't really use it because I don't really use the Hive Crones as much. Like all of the flying units are very fast and they're kind of weak, so I don't really use them that much. And of course I haven't got the Trigon yet, so I'll usually do Acid Blood and then I'll do Digestion or Proliferation depending on what I really want. So it really just depends on what you want. I'm not going to tell you what to get. That's usually what I get. So I wanted to show you guys this Carif Effects and how possibly dangerous they are now with their upgrades, the spine backs, the sinking Tylons, the Bone Mace, and the Bioplasma added on really buffs them up a lot. And then if you do Living Battering Ram, he can pretty much 1v1 this unit and take it out completely almost. Look at that. That is an insane amount of damage he did to that unit. And then here's the Tyranid Warriors. Insane. I think the only ones who can consume is the Malanthropes, I think. Doing pretty good, but we have to get more people up. Like I said, Tyranids don't really suffer too much from the old population, loyalty. We're moving these guys a lot. Trying to combine them so we can go up against the Necrons up here. And I'm trying to get my biomass back up. Probably the Malanthropes. I think the Malanthropes are the ones that can eat the tiles. They basically go to a tile, and if it has biomass on it, they can eat it, and that gets you biomass for it. Alright, let's get these guys over here in these tiles. There we go. Alright, here we are with Tier 9. Tier 9 starts with Biomorph Adaptation. Increases the armor penetration of all of your Biomorphs, which Biomorphs are your big morphs, like the Carif Effects, all the big Tyranid stuff is the Bioforms. Hammer of Wrath, we all know that one. It just, grants a big power boost to all of your biggest stuff. Meganaut Instincts reduces the biomass upkeep of your monstrous creatures, which again, more biomass upkeep reduction is great. Regeneration is insane because it allows your Tyranid monstrous creatures and the Tyranid primes to have hit point regeneration each turn. This one and the last one, the Tyranid Effects, is comparatively the best. Tyranid Effects is a monstrous creature, is a very long range weaponry that annihilates even the hardiest vehicles. So the Tyranid Effects is your best bet for anti-vehicle. It takes a while because it's a later unit. It's going to take a little bit to recruit, and it does cost a bit, but it's very, very much worth it. Especially if you're going up against Necrons, which I've destroyed the Necrons by now, but still. And also, if you get the Wandering Death Robots and all that, very much worth it. So I usually go for the Tyranid Effects, especially if I'm being slapped by one of those vehicle heavy factions, and then I'll grab Regeneration. Biomorph Adaptation is okay because it gets more armor penetration, So again, if you're facing armored enemies like the Necrons or the Space Marines, you're going to want that. Meganaut Instincts, pretty good for helping your economy, but again, at this point, if you've played wide Tyranid, you won't have to worry about it. I usually play tall Tyranid, but still, I barely had to worry about it that much. I'll usually go Tyranid Effects. Now, I do have a couple special units I want to show you. So this one right here, the Hive Crone, I think I got him mixed up with the Gargoyles. The Gargoyles here are very, very weak. The Hive Crone is not. These guys are kind of weak and kind of squishy, but the Hive Crone is not. Now, I do have this one too, the Tervagon, that can summon Termagants. And there's the Termagant. You remember these guys. And then he can also do a mass incubation, use the cooldown, and Catalyst, which restores hit points of Termagant and targeted Tyranid allied unit. So, right now it's only him because nothing else is really hurt. Yeah, he can power that up, and he's still pretty powerful in his own right. I think these guys already attacked this. Yeah, that's okay. Well, let's move the Hive Crone down here. And I'll advance a turn so that we can go through there. I've also been exploring up here, trying to find my final enemy, who's probably down there, my final adversary. My biomass production is pretty good because I played tall, and I've just kind of built up here, but I do have a Malanthrope here, and I'm going to show you consume tile. So you get a good amount of biomass, you get some biomass from this. If I go to like the Opioid Fungus and consume tile, give me a bit of biomass. Alright. We're getting them over here to see if there's anything out there, but I don't think there is. I'm making the lictors, building a lot of new stuff. Hopefully I'll be able to get them out in time for the showcase. Get these guys down here, just kind of move these guys down. Do some more attacks. It's one thing with the Tyranids, they have like very squishy sound effects. As they should. And the mod that I use, the voices mod for the Tyranids, is just a bunch of grunting, which again is very much like the Tyranids. The Carif Effects has very weak ranged attack, but these Bowars don't. Okay, I'll upgrade you, and I'll upgrade you. Right, let's end turn. Oh, they got some more guys here. Alright, this will be a perfect way to test this guy out for you guys. Here he comes, the Hive Crone. It does pretty much just like the Hive Tyrant. And if I do Living Battering Ram, it's going to kill him with shot. Oh, or not. Okay. Alright, there he goes. Oh, that got him. Alright. Alright, now if I hit Scourge of the Brood, that's a 90% damage boost. That ups my damage on this structure a lot. I'll move these gargoyles out because I don't need them. I need the Tyranid Effects with his living battering ram ability. Do a whole lot more damage. The city will fall. City is close to falling. Alrighty. Alright, and here we are at tier 10. So for tier 10, we have the adrenal glands, which increases the movement and increased melee damage for all of your units. Assimilation Accelerants removes the cooldown of reclamation, which means when you go to pull the biomass out of your guys, you can do it more often. Biogenesis Aurelius increases the population limit of your cities. Elysian Walls increase the hit points of your brood hives, which I will show you those in a moment. And finally, the Synthid Herald Jewel is the fucking ultimate Tyranid. It is the ultimate Tyranid life form. Shreds entire armies. So we're of course going to get that first for tier 10. And then it's pretty much between the adrenal glands or the Biogenesis Aurelius, depending on if your economy is struggling with population limit. Adrenal glands though is pretty good because increased movement and melee damage for all your units. It really helps out. So we're here now. I'm going to show you the Exocrine. I fought the Tau. They've killed a good amount of my guys on the way here, so I've had to reorganize them and get them back up here. So now I finally get to snipe their ethereal with this guy. He's pretty much got a bioplasma cannon. It is fucking insane, y'all. It is insane how crazy this is. So let's go and fire it. Oh, go. Oh no, noble ethereal. All right, and then these are the lictors right here. These guys have scything talons, rending claws, and the flesh hooks. They are very powerful. Plus they're kind of powered up now because we got all the relics. Relics really help you get more damage, really help you insanely well. And then this guy here, the Venom Thropes, they do a lot of damage. He took a lot of damage though because of the garrison fire, like all the Overwatch fire. That's the only reason why he took that much damage. But yeah, I just destroyed them by killing that ethereal, sniping them. So now I just am in a race against time to get the Tyranid Effects, Trigon, and I'm going to try to get this guy here out as well so that I can show you the showcase at the end of all the insane units. I've showed you quite a bit insane units, but that'll be the last bit showing you all these units, so let me catch you just then. Alright, Strat fans, the last units I wanted to showcase is, of course, the Raveners. I forgot about these guys. They're fast-hitting infantry scouts. You know, they have the Death Spitter now because I was able to get some more research done while I was waiting. Let's see their attack. They go crazy. Look at that. Of course, it's because they're fully upgraded now. They have the spitters, have all this other stuff. Now, the big boy is the Science Hero Duel. Pretty much Cho'Gath for all you League of Legends players. He is insane. Like, look at his stomp. That's a lot of damage. He's also got Agile, which gives him more movement, but he doesn't get as many attacks. Oh, he just destroys. But I also have this guy here, Trigon. Trigon's okay. It's not terribly great, but it's okay. And it's going to smack his Ethereal up. Man, I've smacked up so many Tau Ethereals. It's not even funny anymore. I've smacked them up so bad. Let's do these. If we destroy this Tau City, we win the game. Fire! Alright. This was pretty much a full game because I was waiting for all those units to get through, but this is the big boy here. He does so much damage and you want to keep him kind of alive. I took a lot of casualties trying to replace these guys, getting them back up here. My influence is off the hook because I got two big cities back here going. I played tall. You don't have to as the Tyranids. You can easily play wide, but you can play both because Tyranids, they only have these three to worry about, so they're a lot easier on the resource game and a lot easier on the economic game. You just really have to get the right stuff and you have to know the right things for different fights. Like this guy right here, really good against the Tau. Really good because he has a lot of range firepower. He has a bio pulse cannon. This guy's good against everything because he's the big boy. The Carif Effects actually had a little bit of trouble against the Tau, but they are good against the Necrons and things that are heavily armored. And the Carif Effects is really good against, especially in melee. The Lictors, really good against the Tau. They are agile and they go against infantry. This thing was okay against the Tau, but not that great. It was better against the Mechanicus. So you just have to pick and choose what units you use. So that's pretty much how I played Tyranids. So that was my Tyranid guide, Strat fans. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did playing it. It takes a long time now, pretty much a whole day just gone to recording. It takes so long to get through. I periodically have to go do other things, help my wife, help my family, or go do other things. I don't have a ton of time to play this, and sometimes it gets show. So that's why I tried to use those codes in the past and in this time because I wanted to do it more legitly for y'all because I don't want to come off as disingenuous. So hope you guys enjoyed this one as much as I did playing it for you, showing you all that there is about the hungry Tyranids. So hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and of course, Strat fans, keep it strategic. Colonel out.